It's been years since we saw the legendary Beatles together on stage. The last time fans had the privilege of witnessing a Beatles performance was during their final years as a band. Since then, Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr, the surviving members, have continued their own successful careers, but the world has always dreamed of a reunion. However, what happened on one fateful night in 2021 stunned everyone. Ringo Starr was performing at his own all-star band concert, a group filled with rock legends. The crowd was enjoying the magic of Ringo's drumming when suddenly, the unmistakable sound of an electric guitar pierced through the air. A familiar, yet surprising face appeared on stage, Paul McCartney. The audience went wild. There they were, two-thirds of the greatest band in history, performing together, as if time had stood still. This unexpected performance wasn't just a reunion, it was a magical moment for every Beatles fan who ever hoped to see the two living legends share the stage once more. And they didn't just play a random song. No, they played I Wanna Be Your Man, a track that dates all the way back to their early days, when they were creating music that would forever change rock and roll. But what made this performance even more special was the chemistry between the two. They were laughing, smiling, and clearly having fun together. It wasn't just about the music. It was about a shared history, a bond that even decades of solo careers couldn't break. It was the closest thing to a Beatles reunion that fans had seen in decades. It felt like the world had taken a brief step back in time. But what was even more remarkable about this moment was the joy Ringo and Paul shared as they played, almost like two old friends, comfortable and natural in each other's company. And just when everyone thought that was the highlight of the night, Ringo Starr gave an unexpected announcement. He was ready to clear the air about something that had been hanging over him for years, the rumors. These rumors had followed him through his entire career. People said he wasn't the best drummer in the Beatles, some even questioned his abilities, but Ringo had always kept a level of quiet dignity when it came to these criticisms. Tonight, he was going to set the record straight. Ringo's truth. As Paul left the stage after their performance, Ringo took the mic and turned toward the crowd, his eyes gleaming with a rare sense of excitement. You know, I've heard it all. The rumors about my drumming. He wasn't the best drummer. He wasn't as good as John Bonham or Keith Moon. And it's time to tell you all something. Those people have no idea what they're talking about. The crowd went quiet. Ringo Starr, the quiet Beatle, was about to speak his mind. For so many years, he had been known as the laid-back, easygoing member of the band, the one who rarely spoke up. But tonight was different. Let me tell you something. I wasn't there to be the best. I wasn't there to compete with anyone, Ringo continued, his voice steady but passionate. I was there to serve the song. And that's exactly what I did. My job was never to outshine anyone. It was to make the band sound the best it could. And if I did that, I did my job. It was a bold statement from Ringo, and the crowd erupted in applause. He wasn't just clearing the air, he was defending his legacy, his place in rock history. For decades, people had debated whether Ringo truly deserved the credit for the sound of the Beatles. But in that moment, Ringo Starr wasn't just a drummer. He was an artist, a musician who had played a crucial role in shaping some of the most iconic songs in music history. But he didn't stop there. He also talked about how his relationship with Paul McCartney had always been one of respect. He spoke about the deep friendship they shared, and how it was never just about the fame, the money, or the fans. It was about the music. Ringo revealed that he and Paul had always been there for each other, especially through the tough times after the Beatles split. People forget that after the band broke up, Paul and I were still there for each other, Ringo said. We'd have long conversations, and we'd laugh and talk about the good old days. And even now, we've always got each other's backs. The crowd cheered again, moved by Ringo's candidness. It wasn't just a performance, it was an emotional moment, one that allowed fans to glimpse the real bond between the two surviving Beatles. And with that, Ringo made it clear that despite all the rumors and the years that had passed, his place in the Beatles' legacy was undeniable. The surprising legacy of Ringo Starr. As the night went on, Ringo continued to perform with his all-star band, but now, there was a sense of reverence in the air. The music felt even more powerful, almost as if the audience understood something they hadn't before. They had witnessed a legend reclaim his story, and with that came a deeper respect for Ringo Starr's impact on music. After the show, as the lights dimmed and the crowd started to leave, many fans stayed behind, hoping to catch a glimpse of the man who had just spoken his truth. It wasn't just about the performance, it was about understanding the depth of Ringo's contribution to the Beatles and to rock and roll as a whole. One thing that Ringo made clear during his speech was that, despite the rumors and the public perception, he was never just a drummer. He was a vital part of a band that would go on to change the world. His simple yet effective drumming style had become iconic, and without it, the Beatles' sound wouldn't have been what it was. But Ringo also recognized something important that night. He wasn't just clearing up rumors about his drumming. He was talking about his life in music, his journey from being a young man in Liverpool to becoming one of the most influential musicians in history. He spoke about the times when things weren't always easy, but he never let go of his love for music. As the show ended and the fans slowly made their way out of the venue, many reflected on what they had just witnessed. This wasn't just a concert. It was a masterclass in humility, legacy, and friendship. And it was a reminder that sometimes, the stories we think we know, the ones filled with rumors and assumptions, need to be heard directly from the person who lived them. The legacy continues. A few weeks after the performance, Ringo Starr was interviewed by a major music publication. They asked him what he thought about the lasting impact of the Beatles and whether he ever thought he would still be in the spotlight after all these years. Ringo chuckled before replying, "I never really thought about being famous. I just loved making music. And I still do. It's the one thing that's never changed." And that's exactly what continues to make Ringo Starr so special. He's a man who doesn't chase the limelight. He's a man who simply wants to share his love of music with the world. He isn't concerned with proving anyone wrong. He's just focused on continuing to play, create, and inspire. As for the rumors, Ringo's truth had already been heard. And while many fans had always known he was an essential part of the Beatles, that night, he reaffirmed his place in rock history once and for all. The music world continues to watch as Ringo Starr's story unfolds. From his time with the Beatles to his solo career and his all-star band, Ringo remains one of the most respected musicians of all time. And the message he left that night was clear: no matter what rumors or misconceptions may have existed, Ringo Starr's place in music is rock solid, and it always will be. The unbreakable bond. Even as Ringo Starr continued his solo performances and Paul McCartney toured around the world, the bond between the two was as strong as ever. They never needed to be on stage together to remind the world of what they had built. Their music spoke for itself. And that's the beauty of their relationship. It's not just about the big moments on stage, like the surprise performance that shook the music world. It's about the quiet moments, the phone calls, the private conversations, and the shared understanding of a journey that only a few can truly appreciate. So, while we may never see the Beatles together again, the moments we get to witness, like that surprise performance between Ringo and Paul, remind us that the magic of the Beatles isn't gone, it's still very much alive.